Michael Rodriguez walked into a Hertz dealership in Phoenix with just $2,000 in his wallet. Minutes later, he drove away in a 2023 Tesla Model 3, a car that cost $46,000 brand new just 1 year earlier. It wasn't a promo. It wasn't a mistake. This was corporate panic playing out in real time. Hertz, one of the biggest car rental companies in the world, is now liquidating cars for pennies on the dollar. But this isn't just about cheap Teslas. It's about $1 billion failure that could collapse an entire industry and permanently change how Americans travel, rent, and buy cars. Let's rewind to 2021. Fresh out of bankruptcy, Hertz was eager to reinvent itself. They made a headline-grabbing move, ordering 100,000 Teslas to modernize their fleet. The strategy was simple: ride the EV wave, attract eco-conscious travelers, and brand themselves as an innovative green company. On paper, it looked brilliant. In reality, it was a ticking time bomb. Within weeks of launching their new EV fleet at Miami International Airport, red flags started popping up. The new Teslas sat untouched. Customers walked right past them, choosing traditional gas vehicles instead, even when the EVs were offered at no extra charge. Hertz staff began noticing an alarming pattern. 73% of renters actively refused electric vehicles. Why? Charging was the #1 concern. Business travelers didn't have time to wait 45 minutes at a charging station. Tourists didn't want to risk running out of power in an unfamiliar place. International visitors had no idea how Tesla's charging system even worked. It wasn't just fear, it was frustration. Renters complained about Teslas being too complicated. Some returned cars with dead batteries. Others couldn't figure out how to adjust mirrors or open the glove box because everything was hidden behind touchscreen menus. One Chevy Silverado EV at a major Hertz location racked up just 88 miles in nearly a year. It became the symbol of a failed strategy, a flashy, expensive vehicle nobody wanted to rent. While traditional rental cars reached 70% to 80% utilization rates, Hertz's EVs were barely hitting 35%. That's a disaster in the rental world, where fleet utilization is everything. And the problems didn't stop there. The company quickly realized it couldn't support the massive EV rollout. Installing a single charging station at one of their locations cost between $15,000 and $25,000. Multiply that across thousands of cars and locations, and suddenly Hertz was facing hundreds of millions in unplanned infrastructure costs. To make things worse, many of those chargers broke frequently. Renters would return to dead or malfunctioning units, forcing Hertz to pay for mobile charging services or tow vehicles to functional stations. Then came the maintenance crisis. EVs require specialized technicians and tools. Hertz had to retrain thousands of mechanics at a cost of up to $5,000 per person. A simple issue, like a broken door handle, that would take 2 days to fix on a gas vehicle could take 3 weeks on a Tesla. Parts were scarce. Repairs were expensive. And then came the final blow. Tesla slashed its vehicle prices in early 2023. Virtually overnight, the vehicles Hertz paid $60,000 for were now being sold brand new for $40,000. The company's fleet lost over $1 billion in value instantly. Imagine buying 50,000 vehicles at a premium and then waking up to find they're worth less than used economy cars. The resale market collapsed. Used car dealers didn't want them. Internal emails from Hertz executives revealed panic at the highest levels. One vice president even described the EV strategy as an unmitigated disaster that threatens the company's survival. Consultants were brought in, emergency board meetings were held, and the conclusion was brutal. Hertz had to liquidate its EV fleet fast or risk total collapse. And that's when the fire sale began. Teslas priced at $46,000 new were now listed at $1,900. BMW X5s for $37,000, when the same model goes for $52,000 elsewhere. Dealers accepted offers tens of thousands below asking price. This wasn't normal depreciation. This was desperation. In smaller markets like Tulsa, you could get a 2022 Nissan Rogue for $6,000 less than in major cities. And if a vehicle had been sitting for over 45 days, it entered what insiders called distress pricing, where managers were authorized to accept 30% below even the discounted price just to move inventory. Internally, the crisis deepened. Hertz was losing an estimated $380 million every week in operating expenses, and every idle vehicle on the lot was costing them money in storage, insurance, and financing. They didn't just sell cars. They started liquidating office space, tech systems, licenses, anything that could be turned into cash. Managers were being ordered to sell 50 cars per week or risk termination. Sales teams no longer cared about profits. Any transaction that generated cash flow was a win. The emotional toll was staggering. Longtime employees watched the company tear itself apart to survive. But Hertz isn't the only rental giant in trouble. Enterprise and Avis are quietly unloading EVs too, just not as dramatically. The bigger problem is a permanent shift in how people travel. Since 2019, airport rentals are down 31%. At the same time, Uber and Lyft pickups at airports have skyrocketed by 47%. Travelers are ditching rentals for rideshare convenience. And business travel, which was the lifeline of rental companies, is still 27% below pre-pandemic levels. Corporate travel budgets have been slashed by up to 50%. The high-margin customers rental companies relied on simply aren't coming back. As the traditional model crumbles, buyers hoping to grab these liquidated vehicles should proceed with caution. Rental cars are typically abused, EVs even more so. Teslas, for example, often suffer hidden battery degradation. If the battery capacity is below 90% after just 30,000 miles, that's a red flag. Insurance on former rentals is also more expensive, sometimes up to 15% higher, because they tend to file more claims. And then there's the warranty catch. Some manufacturers reduce coverage for second owners, like especially for EVs. Teslas are notorious for voiding coverage if refurbished parts have been used. Still, there are smart opportunities here. Dealers are flipping distressed vehicles for big profits. Auto shops that specialize in EV repairs are thriving thanks to all the new EV owners who have no idea how to maintain them. Investors are repurposing old rental locations into commercial space or charging hubs. Even tech companies are jumping in, building apps for fleet tracking, peer-to-peer rentals, and dynamic pricing models. The truth is, this isn't just about Hertz. It's about a dying business model. The simple rent a car, return it later structure is collapsing under pressure from tech, changing behavior, and financial mismanagement. In the next 18 months, the rental car landscape will look nothing like it did 5 years ago. Subscription services, rideshare integrations, and peer-to-peer platforms will define the future. Only companies that adapt quickly will survive. So yes, you might be able to buy a Tesla for $2,000. But behind that deal is the collapse of a $20 billion industry. Hertz's gamble on electric vehicles wasn't just a mistake, it was a warning. Innovation without preparation can bankrupt even the biggest players.